As a member of the Library Foundation and a resident of East Forest Park, I am extremely pleased and proud to be here today for what is a very important announcement. The Library Foundation and the Steering Committee for the Promise Realized campaign has been working hard, diligently, and really collaborating with the community to get us to a very significant point in our campaign. The members of the foundation and steering committee are very proud where we are and know that we have a little bit of a ways to go, and we will outline that path for you a bit today. But first, let me acknowledge the members of the Library Foundation that are here, some of whom will be speaking, but if you would stand, please. Thank you, and we thank you so much for the work that we have done together. Also want to acknowledge the members of the steering committee for the Promise Realized campaign. If you're on the steering committee, please stand. The work of the steering committee and the foundation has inspired many, particularly those in the East Forest Park neighborhood. We are so pleased and proud of this wonderful neighborhood stabilization project that is couched as a library. We know that this is going to be an anchor for our community, our neighborhood, and our city. As Andrew Carnegie once said, a library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert. Look what we are creating, a never-failing spring. That is an amazing accomplishment. I want to introduce to you a person that you all know well. We could not have done this without you, Mayor Sarno. I really need to, on behalf of the steering committee and foundation, you sent out letters. You made sure that you were connecting with those donors in order to get us a significant way in terms of where we needed to go. So you have really been a true partner. And you know, I'd like to say that this project is a tale of two mayors. You and Mayor Ryan have really been the foundation. I love him dearly, you do know that. But I want to, again, thank you and ask you to come forward and give your remarks. Please welcome Mayor Sarno.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Helen, for those kind comments. And when you're getting double teamed by Mayor Ryan and Mayor Sarno, we diplomatically sort of twist those arms to make sure that our donors get our message, that they're doing good for the city of Springfield. And speaking of doing good, I have to credit Mayor Ryan Charlie. He negotiated a hell of a deal with Andrew Carnegie a number of years ago. And I'm glad to see Charlie, Mayor Ryan, here. And I always, Barbara Garvey loves that line, by the way. And I always respectfully and affectionately call him really the godfathers of our libraries. So let's give Mayor Ryan a big round of applause. Helen, I want to thank you, the elegant and eloquent Commissioner of Health and Human Services, and Molly Fogarty, and everybody involved with the Library Foundation. Matt, thank you for the nuts and bolts of putting this together. And I want to thank Pat Markey, Attorney Pat Markey, and Barbara Garvey. Pat has taken over as a chairman of the foundation for their steadfast support, not only of libraries, but the city of Springfield. And when you look upon other cities and towns where downsizing is occurring, especially with libraries, and maybe they might have one. Springfield is the envy of the Northeast when it comes. Oh, Senator Lesser is here too. We appreciate his support on the state level too. Senator Lesser, thank you. And City Councilor Tim Allen also, who has helped out here. And I got to give a shout out to Paul Sears, because his grandson there is a quarterback for University of Southern California, USC there. So good luck in the bowl games there too. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Did you teach him how to throw that ball? Okay, Paul. So where was I now? Oh, about the libraries. So many in the Northeast were the envy, because not only do we have a beautiful complex, the Andrew Carnegie philanthropic donation, but we have neighborhood libraries all across the city of Springfield. And Molly and her team diversified our libraries too. So everybody thinks, well, what do you need a library for anymore now? You know, there's computers, there's this, there's that. You've diversified now. And with all the computerization that you're doing, workforce development, the educational stuff, the family time, a community center, really. So when you look upon what has occurred in East Forest Park is another one of our wonderful neighborhoods in the city of Springfield. But after that devastating EF3 tornado, people were thinking, are you going to come back? Not only did we come back, we came back bigger, better, and stronger. And this continues the resiliency and the rebuilding of the neighborhood. And they have, it's been talked about for 40-odd years. When are we going to get our own standalone library? And we've been able to do it through a partnership of city funds, through state funds, through a partnership of very generous business community and philanthropic community. And I cannot say enough as I close with my remarks about the Library Foundation. Mayor Ryan, Attorney Markey, Barbara Garvey, everybody, you put your money where your mouth is. You're making it, this is a season of giving. You're making a very, very generous donation today, but you've also been very helpful to me and the city to make sure we keep other branch libraries going. And for that, I am ever grateful to each and every one of you. So I wish everybody a joyous holiday season and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and continued success. And I look very, very forward to the opening of the East Forest Park Library branch. And again, to you, Mayor Ryan Charlie, you drove a hard bargain with Andrew Carnegie, and I appreciated that too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. I want to take a moment just to recognize the wonderful internal team we have that is providing the management and oversight of this project. Peter Garvey, who is the Director of Capital Asset Management, and I saw Myron Hatchett. Myron. What's important about that is that it really is wonderful to have an internal group of people who you can work with, who know the city, and who are really committed to moving us forward. So thank you. The project is on time, on budget. We're good. Thank you. I want to bring up next a very important person, and I talk about Molly Fogarty in terms that are really endearing to me. She is an amazing director of the library system in the city of Springfield. Not only that, this project was possible because she and her team wrote a grant that got funded at a 400, I always up it. Always 5 million. Okay, because last time so it was almost 5 million. Thank you. So we want to thank you for what you've done and with your team to strengthen our library system in the city of Springfield. You are a wonderful manager. It is a pleasure working with you. I now invite you to the podium.
Well, thank you, Helen, for those wonderful comments. I'm a little overwhelmed, so thank you. I would be remiss in not thanking all the people that have already been thanked again, our Library Foundation, our Mayor Sarno, and as I've said before, I'm a very lucky library director to have two great mayors in my life, so Mayor Sarno and Mayor Ryan, and all the work of the community, our city council, our state delegation, and our staff, of course, I have to recognize Jean Canoso. I couldn't do any of this without her. Thank you very much. And all the wonderful people, the community members who have pushed this forward. When we look back, we started working on this in 2011, really right after the tornado. And because of all the work we had done, we were ready to do our planning and design grant, and then ready to do our construction grant, and as we said, we got funded, and things are moving along really, really well. We're building a 21st century library, state of the art. There's no other library, and I would say in Massachusetts at this point, and maybe in the new wave of libraries that are coming on board, that has all of the elements that we have. We're going to be a true community center, true place for families to come and enjoy our teens and children and seniors, and our wonderful staff at the East Forest Park branch who do such great work in the community. When I get reports from them and I see how many people come to our programs in that tiny space, they have 60, 70 people. I don't know how they do it. They move things around by magic. And so when they're so excited about getting this new space as well. So thank you all. I just wanted to have Peter just give a quick update on where we are. He's the best person, if you want to just, where we are, because we have a wonderful design, we have a wonderful architect, we have a wonderful team, but without the oversight of the Capital Assets Department, we wouldn't be here, and Myron as well.
Sure. I could probably do it from there, but just want to point out, I know you're all here for the East Forest Park Library, but we're also putting about $3.5 million into the Central Library. When you go up State Street, you see a lot of the work going on. Myron's the senior project manager on that one as well, so we're doing ADA upgrades and some facade work there. So I know you're all here for East Forest Park, but we're pouring slabs today, so all the slabs will be poured this week. So structural steel's on schedule to start the following week before Christmas, so see a lot of activity. Now we're starting to come out of the ground. It's going along great. This is typically, the groundwork is where you find the most problems in a construction or construction project, and we sailed right through that. So we're heading in the right direction. So plan your Christmas parties for next year. I'm sure they'll be sending some permits out. So that's where we are. This check should get us through this month, so we'll see you here in another month.
Just again, I want to thank Helen Carlton-Harris for all of her support and guidance. We wouldn't be here without her as well. And those are my closing remarks, and all the utilities are in, so we're doing great. And yeah, start booking the community room now for next year, I think. It'll fill up quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the mayor mentioned Senator Lesser and talked about his support and how important you have been to this process. You are a person who really does not like a lot of accolades, but we have to give you this one. I mean, you have been an important part of this journey with us, and we are so appreciative that we have you in our State House and as our representative. So, Senator Lesser, I invite you to give some comments.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I'll try to be brief. You know, the Springfield Libraries for me are kind of a good luck charm. I've joked about this before. I studied for my SATs and my LSATs and the bar exam all at the Springfield Central Library, and they turned out okay. So I have very good feelings. I do want to thank my friend and colleague Tim Allen, who's really been a champion of this for a very, very long time, and of course, Mayors Ryan and Mayor Sarno. But I do want to, in particular, point out Frank. I think the very first meeting I had after my election was at Panera in East Long Meadow, where we sat down to talk about this project and how important it was, and so many others that we've met with. I know Molly and Jean and I sat down also shortly after the meeting with Frank to get a kind of more formal introduction to the project. And we joined I became chair of the Library Caucus in the Senate, which we're joking about because we're getting invitations now. It's a statewide caucus to the Boston Public Library, the Medford Library, the here and there. And we're like, this is great. We'll support all these projects so long as that $5 million from the Board of Library Commissioners the check is in the mail for Springfield. And I just want to very quickly echo what Commissioner Colin Harris said about the social justice and really, the civil rights element of having this library in East Forest Park. When I think about libraries, I think about my mom. Joan Granucci is her maiden name. She's Italian, which Mayor Sarno encourages me to repeat on the campaign trail. But my mom grew up in an Italian immigrant neighborhood, St. Anthony's Parish in Little Italy section. Now it's Soho, Little Italy section of Lower Manhattan. Her father was a longshoreman in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And there was not Springfield, New York City public library branch around the corner from where she lived. And every day she was allowed to go down to the library and get as many books out as her age. That was the story that she used to say. And a working class immigrant family, Italian immigrant family, she was able to travel the world through those books and learn about different cultures, different languages, different religions, different ways of life. Ended up working her way through City College in New York, ended up earning a PhD, and now is a professor, and has passed that on, that love of learning, that love of books, to her children and to now her grandchildren, who are very avid library visitors. So my hope is if even one family can be impacted by this library the way my family has been impacted by public libraries in this country, it's well worth that $5 million, and we will repeat that to the Board of Library Commissioners and to my colleagues in state government as well. So congratulations, a real true community effort. It's really incredible, the number of donors, the size of the donations, from very small donations to very large donations. Each one of them, I think, is a reflection of the personal commitment that this community, that our city, that our region is going to have to this library. So it's a great effort to be a part of, and I'm excited for the ribbon cutting.
Thank you, Senator Lesser. The East Forest Park community is very pleased and very proud to have representing Ward 7, Tim Allen, our city councilor, who has been a true partner throughout this process as well. Tim, you have, I remember us meeting early on about this project, and you've been involved, and we thank you for your commitment to this project. I invite you to come up and give some remarks.
Well, I want to echo all the thanks that everyone has said before. I will only mention a couple. Mayor Sarno and Senator Lesser, thank you for your support on the voting side. And to all my colleagues on the City Council, I don't think any of them are here right now, but I got consistent support from the original 29,000 to do a study to the final 2.6, I think, that we approved that the city would pick up, and more, depending on how the drive went. So I think every vote but one was unanimous, and one vote somebody voted against it, but we had about 4 or 5 votes, and the money was approved. So thanks to everybody in that. Thanks to all of you. I think the real impact of this is on the people of East Forest Park. I mean, this is. It's a strong neighborhood. It's been a neighborhood. I grew up on Liberty Street in Springfield, and I used to walk from Liberty School to the Liberty Branch Library when I was a kid, and now for the last 42 years I've lived in East Forest Park, and I'm proud to have a part in bringing a library to East Forest Park from the one we've had. I will say on the community room side, we have our East Forest Park Civic Association meeting is second Wednesday at 6:30, and it's at St. Michael's Academy in the cafeteria. And last night, the whole hour was devoted to coyotes, many of whom are hanging out by the library, the new library. So we spent the whole time in that, but we had to have somebody at the St. Michael's. I don't know if they've applied for library cards, Molly. I don't know, but the neighborhood is a little. We give it to everyone. But last night I got there and somebody was at the door to St. Michael's to let me in, and I said, what's up with this? Because usually the door's open, and St. Michael's has a new policy that we can't leave the door open, so somebody has to actually be within view of someone coming in. So that was just another, they've been terrific, St. Michael's letting us use that. We had 50 or 60 people there last night, because the coyote issue has been kind of a big one lately. But the library issue is bigger, and I think it's a great attraction for the neighborhood and will be a great service. The people of East Forest Park frequented the small little library at Rite Aid, and next to Rite Aid. So imagine what we'll have for people at this library. I want to thank Joanne and Frank and the Markeys, representatives, people who live in the neighborhood, for coming and being consistent supporters, and all of you. And I look forward to the next time I can bring out those Johnson's bookstore quotes. I didn't bring them here today, but I still got them ready for the final celebration. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. I think you hit on a very important point, is that there are residents from the East Forest Park neighborhood who are in the audience, who have worked diligently for many years. And so what I'd like is, if you are a resident of East Forest Park and here, if you would just stand if you can. Thank you for being here. The East Forest Park community, as well as the Library Foundation and the steering committee, has leadership. And the leadership consists pretty much of Barbara Garvey, whom I admire. I'm going to be like you when I grow up. I'm working on it. And certainly Mayor Ryan. And Mayor Ryan was the foundation president for a number of years. He needed to pass the baton off, and he trusted an individual that was his city solicitor for a time at City Hall. And so, Patrick Markey, thank you for your work and your leadership for all of us. I invite you to come give your remarks.
Thanks, Helen. I was tempted to stand up for East Forest Park. I'm an alum of East Forest Park, obviously, and take great pride in that. I say I have dual citizenship, East Forest Park and Forest Park. The foundation's getting a lot of credit here today for this, the first of what we hope are 4 installments. We're looking for $2 million, and we're over 1.1. We didn't want to give the full 1.1 today. We want to make sure Peter stays on target with his deadlines. As I said, the foundation's getting a lot of credit, but it's really the people. I think everybody in this room, I'm not sure if the press has given yet, but we'll be asking you, everybody in this room has contributed financially according to their means. And that's what makes this project a great project. Government can't do it alone. The state can't do it alone. Our local government can't do it alone. For a project like this, we need people. And some of those people are here in this room. There are many more who are not in this room. We have corporate citizens and individual citizens who have stepped up for this project. Mass Mutual, the Beverage Foundation, Press Blake, who was actually older than Charlie, Chicopee Savings Bank Charitable Foundation. This week we just got some more money from the Community Foundation, which puts us up over the 1.1. We've got 900 to go. They say that success has 1,000 mothers and failure is an orphan. Well, this project is a success, so if you want to get in on it, now's the time to do that. We're very pleased to, in this season of giving, to present to the city $500,000 on behalf of all the donors. And with the help of the citizens of East Forest Park and the city and the communities beyond, we're going to reach the $2 million. Thank you to everybody. Good luck to Peter Garvey on staying on target with the deadlines.
On budget, too.
And on budget. Yeah, that's really key.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to acknowledge your parents, if I may, because they're my next door neighbors, but that's not why I'm acknowledging them. But really have done a really fine job raising their children and really committing to the city of Springfield. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Markey. We are winding down, and I believe we have one more speaker. The godfather, as the mayor calls him, of the library system. Godfather of the library system, Mayor Ryan. Mayor Ryan, may I just say, you are looking wonderful. You are really looking wonderful. And it is a blessing to have you here today to celebrate with us. So thank you so much for who you are, what you've done, all that you've enabled all of us to be. That's the foundation that you've laid. And so I invite you to come give your remarks.
Thank you very much, Helen. Mr. Mayor, everybody, it's a pleasure to be here. First of all, I haven't had a chance to say thank you to Eric for what he did on that state assistance. We're very, very grateful for that. We're very grateful to everybody. One thing that's nice is to do something nobody else has done. Now, he's fast taking care of everybody's records, Domenic is. But he's got to come back 36 years from now and do it again. Okay? Preferably at the turn of the century. And but I just want to tell you one little thing. I had 6 years back in the 60s. I had 4 years starting with '04. And it drives me crazy when I read the attacks in our nation's Congress by Democrats on Republicans and Republicans on Democrats. And I want to tell you, I don't know whether it's in our water or in their water, but in the 10 years that I was mayor, and I dare say in the 10 years that Domenic's working on right now, I never heard the distinction in anything we did in Springfield between one party and another. This fellow who's right in the middle of it in Boston is shaking his head too. Because that was my experience. I'm not making that up to make it sound good. That's the way it was. And we always came together as people of Springfield. That was the binding thing. That was the magic word. And it does me so much good to be a part of this because, again, for the umptieth time, I'm with men and women, young and old, of Springfield and greater Springfield who want to do something good for this community. I remember I went to Holy Name School for 8 years, and then down to Forest Park, and then to Classical. And yet I went to Frederick Harris for kindergarten. And I remember it well. It was just a kind of the central part that's still there, was there then. And I loved it. And I was, I probably hadn't been out of the house very much before I got to walk to kindergarten. We lived on Bangor Street at the time. And it was I was floored when I found Forest Park. I was floored when I saw this big tower here. And they told me that was the City Hall. And all these other wonderful things of the city were here when I was a kid, the smallest of children. And it gives me kind of a special boost to know that in this thing that's coming near the end of my life, that I, along with you, play a part in creating something that's good for the people, young and old, of Springfield for the next 125 years. That's a good feeling. It's long overdue, I think, for some of us, because, you know, we get things the taxpayers pay and so on, but this is kind of extra, beautiful. I want to pay special tribute to Sally and Mark for their extraordinarily generous gift. And there are other gifts that I might not know about, but they certainly merit very, very special mention. So I've always been a guy who loved history, and not just last week's history, but the history of Rome and the history of Athens and the history of all those cities, especially in the Western world, because I know at the same time over in China, extraordinary things were happening. But it's a fantastic world. We're in troubled times right now. I wish those fellas down there would really kind of clean it up, get to work on doing something together. We call infrastructure. That's together. Yeah. You know, we want to train to Boston. Makes it easy. But let's have an infrastructure. Who wins, who loses? The people win. Nobody but the people. And some jerk gets bragging rights. Who cares about that? He's talking to himself. Really, I mean it. It's serious. And the mayor's shaking because he's got the hand of friendship out to anybody who's going to come here and do something good for this city. And on this, we all agree, every person in this room. So it's a thrill to be here. It's a great cause we're in. We still got a long ways to go. I'm confident we're going to get there with the help of everybody in this room. Redouble your calls and so on and so forth. But as we learned today, we're at 1.1 million, 500,000 of which goes to the city treasurer today. Beautiful, beautiful. But we've got another 1.5 million to get to you folks here. And we're going to need the help of everybody. Don't think this thing is over, because, you know, maybe it was easier in the first ones. All I know is we've got a commitment that doesn't end until we make the goal. So other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and God bless everybody.
Charles V. Ryan, Mayor, you are amazing. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all that you do. And what you remind me of is that, and this campaign, is that we've got the ball in our hands, right? And we're running down the field. We can't get to the 50-yard line and sit down. We've got more work to do. We've got to get to the goal line. Can you tell that my son told me that story a long time ago. But anyway, I'm happy to share it. But thank you, because you're right. We do have a ways to go, and I thank you for your comments. This is going to conclude our speaking part of the program. We are going to take the check picture, correct? So that we can make sure that everybody can see that this is real. Mayor Sarno, once again, I value and appreciate you for who you are and what you do every day. And I know in my position how difficult it can be. I cannot imagine the things that you must deal with on a daily basis, and you do it with grace. So thank you. So I also want to thank Matt. Where are you, Matt? Please stand up. If you have not been inspired, Matt is an inspiration. And I am confident you're going to inspire us to the goal line, that rest of the field we have to run. Thank you, Matt, for your patience, your kindness, and your direction. I really very much appreciate you. So thank you. And now, Mayor Sarno, Mayor Ryan, members of the foundation, steering committee, we are going to present this check.